Welcome back to Ordinary Talk. Last time we did this podcast, it was sort of an introduction to Ordinary Productions and the Ordinary Show and some of the shows coming up. But now it's time for real talk. And we have so much going on nowadays that we have to recognize certain things. Now, before we begin, let me mention we have a two-part health and wellness series coming up that's going to be absolutely fabulous. Coach Kashifa Mir with Cross Train will be on the show, followed by Michael Bevins and Samantha Maycock with their muscle strengthening. So watch out for those two shows coming up. Now, did you happen to see, I read in the news a couple of weeks ago in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and so much has been going on there. Did you see the 84-year-old woman that got pepper sprayed by the police? Now I want you to take a look at this video as we view this. This is something that's amazing. Now this is from a body cam video of one of the female cops that followed. Now I got to tell you this. They had followed this young man to his home before all of this happens. And so he had taken them on a 4 to 5 mile sort of chase, but he ended up home. And this is where the police, he gets out, goes in the house, and this is where they go. Now, apparently he's living with his 84-year-old grandmother.
Stand up!
And this is what is happening.
Walk my way. Walk my way. Stay there, ma'am.
They go into the house.
Now. Do it now. Come here. I'm going to tase you. Do it now. Man, get down. Get down. Get down.
And so you see they tased him. They take him, but look at how they're doing the 84-year-old lady in the house. I mean, you can't recognize she's feisty.
Don't put your hand around. Turn around. Hey, turn around. Turn around and face that way. Turn around and face that way. Turn around and face
And
that
so
way
she's
now.
not posing any threat. Now she is being, and that's where they pepper spray her. That's where they pepper spray her. And as you can see as they slow it down, and she basically puts her hand in the air. If you've ever been pepper sprayed, that stuff is strong. And if it gets to you right in the face.
Oh, Lord, have mercy. Help me, Jesus. Lord, help me, Lord. Help me, Lord. Oh, Lord, dear. Lord, help me. Help me. Lord, I made it so. Help me, Jesus. Lord. Help me, Jesus. Help me, Lord. Get out of my back. Get out of my... Oh, Lord, help me, Jesus.
Lord help me, Jesus.
My eye needs to work.
Now, that's a very sad affair. That's a very sad affair. And, I know she was saying, Lord, help me, Jesus, on the floor. If any of you laughing, by the way, you're wrong for that. But imagine your 84-year-old grandmother being pepper sprayed like that. So, there are certain situations, and I support the police. And I know they have a very difficult job. But there's some extra training that needs to be done in a lot of departments. So, in between, so all of that goes to our subject today, is not basically police misconduct, but we're standing for Colin Kaepernick. Now, the reason I'm wearing these colors is because they're San Francisco colors, and I'm supporting Colin Kaepernick for what he's doing and taking a stance. Now, I have this, no doubt, to let you know that I am a proud Dallas Cowboy fan. That's why I have this in the background. This is actually a soccer shirt, but it does have San Francisco 49er colors, because when I went to try to find a Colin Kaepernick jersey, there were none to be found, which I was kind of happy with. They're very difficult to find Colin Kaepernick jerseys. And so he's decided to take a stance. And we can go on and on. And the reason we even do Ordinary Talk Because from Trayvon Martin to Michael Brown shootings, Philando Castile in Minnesota, which I don't understand why that officer hadn't been charged yet. Everyone saw what happened in Minnesota as the young man, this is where his girlfriend was filming the entire matter. He told the police that he had a permit to carry a gun. And when he reached to get his license, the police shot him. Definitely that officer should have been charged by now, especially since the officer in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the Terrence Crutcher shooting has been charged. Without justice, there is no peace. Until there's justice, then there's peace. So in protest of these killings, which brings us to Colin Kaepernick. And Colin Kaepernick is taking a stance that I'm very proud of. Now, we'll get to his language a little bit later on. But in the same vein of Olympic runners John Carlos and Tommy Smith, in the same vein of Muhammad Ali, he has decided to take a stance. And it's not even surprising, one of the very poignant things is the reaction that he's getting. It's the same reaction that anyone that takes a stand in a certain community gets when people don't like them. You can't tell anybody how to protest. I would encourage you to read an article in the Washington Post from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And since Kareem has retired, he has written prolifically in both Time magazine and major editorials around the country. But he wrote this particular article that got me intrigued. He wrote in regards to Colin Kaepernick, insulting Colin Kaepernick says more about our patriotism than it does his. Isn't that something? How can you tell someone how to express their freedom if it is the land of the free and home of the brave? Then isn't true freedom paid for in many ways? And this notion of disrespect to veterans. Listen, I can understand some veterans, but what I've also been encouraged by is the number of veterans serving inside the country and outside the country that have given overwhelming support to Colin Kaepernick, even if they didn't agree with the stance or how the stance he's taken. How can you understand the reasoning behind it and then criticize the methodology of it? But you know what? One thing he's done, he's got the country talking about the subject. And we need to talk more about it. And I tell you, when it comes to talking about it, and I'll just be very honest, I'll just be very frank with it. You don't have to show your ignorance if no one asks you to. Some of these black players that have come out against Colin Kaepernick, no one asks you to be ignorant. Just shut. You don't have to say, just shut up. And everyone has a right to their own opinion, but why be ignorant about it when you don't have to be? Listen, I would also, if I had a chance to talk to Colin, because I've heard some recent comments about him in regards to the debates that we've had recently. He has a movement, he's making a stance, and a stance of integrity and on his morals and principles, which many ball players will never do in their career, even after their career. I don't need to mention many, Michael Jordan. I don't need to mention many. But in his stance, there needs to be temperament. And so I would encourage him especially in some of his comments in regards to the political debate that's going on, have temperament in that. Mr. Kaepernick, you have support. Not only that, he has growing support. But you have to be careful with that type of support, especially when the spotlights get larger. There's no backup quarterback that has a larger spotlight on him than Colin Kaepernick because of the stance he's taken. And soon, with the way the starter Gabbard is playing, They really need to put him in as the starter very soon. If you've seen the 49ers lately. But in support, we had to talk about Colin Kaepernick and the stance he's taken. And if you have a different opinion, we want to hear all opinions. Please email us. Email us at ordinaryshow13@gmail.com. Again, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, Facebook, Ordinary Productions, and we want to hear your opinion. Email me, we'll put it up on our next broadcast. But these are things that, the reason we do Ordinary Talk, that we don't see. What is happening with the officer in the Philando Castile shooting in Minnesota? What is happening with that? Hopefully next time we'll be able to give you an update to see how that investigation is coming along. Well, despite everything that's going on, I'm still a believer, and will always be a believer, that God is in control. And one thing that I will always believe in is that one act of kindness does ripple in our entire community, and ordinary people become extraordinary. I'll see you next time.